What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the edition of the Vicktory Life Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, owner, and founder of Vicktory Life, Dwight Vick, and we are here with another coaches panel, part two. A few guys couldn't make it, but we still have a great panel indeed. We are joined by Coach Mack of Forest Park High School, head basketball coach. Also, Coach Aaron Jones, who's not new to coaching, but joining the Prince William County region, Woodbridge High School. And we also have Sherman Rivers, a frequent guest, head basketball coach of Patriot High School. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good, man. Always good to be on, brother. You already know.
Yeah, well, now that we're recording this, and I can't wait to run it. So, this is not like, Jay-Z versus Nas or Kendrick versus Drake. People are going to be tuning in for responses. Sherman, you have been a hot topic in the DMV. It seems like you every 3 months. I remember, and Coach, I don't know if you remember, Sherman was trending nationwide, whether or not players should be going to the prom.
I've talked about this plenty of times.
I remember I was, I think my son playing. I looked online. I said, Sherman Rivers is trending. And I was like, what is he saying? I looked at my phone. It said prom. And I'm like, what? And I saw people were getting upset. And then there were people like, yo, I feel them. And I was like, and Sherman was just sitting back like, yeah, I don't care. I moved on to the next thing. So you don't.
And the crazy part is I was at prom with the kids. So that's what made it funny.
Pictures about
that. Well, you know what? I want to thank you, Coach Mack. You've been on my show from afar. I interviewed you and your players in the fall league last year at Tony Bentley's fall league. That's my guy. I've watched you coach. You had some great teams here in the last 3 or 4 years. Some kids I'm a big fan of. The point guard, Sal, right? What's his name?
Yeah.
And I posted on him. I'm on my page a lot. I love his game. You had another big that's going on to play football at Liberty.
Yeah,
talk to his mom. Yeah, so you got a great program. So you'll be a frequent guest on there. I'll talk to you about that. He big time me, fellas, though, because early on, I reached out to him, left him a voice message, and I said, hey, you want to jump on? Never heard from him. And so then I finally met him in person. He said, oh, my bad, man. I don't check my voicemail. I said, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, whatever. But
I really don't check that thing, man.
No, it's all good. And then Coach Aaron, I met you. I've seen you on Twitter. You left and came back, but my first interaction with you was you guys had a scrimmage against Patriot when my son was a sophomore in D.C. So I couldn't watch it. It wasn't streamed, but I saw you, and then Sherman told me you guys were really good friends, and I followed you on Twitter, and you seem to be a great person, great coach, got some good insight. I love your tweets. You've been kind of quiet lately. Did something happen? Did you just take it?
Well, two things. For one, I got to be back in the office 5 days a week now, so my freedom is a little bit different, but also in respect to the brand of Kevin Durant, I'm very, very careful of what I represent. Not that I've ever said anything bad, but I just, Team Durant is a brand, so just always making sure that you're on the right side of social media. As we were just joking about with the Sherman thing, things can get taken out of context. And people can take your good intentions and run with them, and so that's all. And we're getting ready for Peach Jam, so try to be locked in.
We'll talk about that in a second, because I love the fact that you have the AAU connection, and AAU is, again, I mentioned before we hit record. I didn't grow up in the DMV, but I had that ignorant 757 mindset, and then I moved up here and I realized, damn, my boy Al Clark, he was my quarterback at Tech. He's a DC head. He always used to tell us in the locker room. They didn't call it DMV then. It was the DC area, or as the Maryland DC got area. He would say that we got the best hoopers, and like, man, we got Chuck, aka Iverson, Joe Smith. And then I moved up here. I'm like, oh, Sherman put Patriot in the Capital Hoops joint. I'm watching Bullis, DeMatha, all these public schools, private schools. I'm like, yeah, I ain't even gonna lie, shorty. So let's dive into it, man. Again, I'm very conscious and respectful of y'all time. And I always say this, and I'm very appreciative of coaches, because you guys don't get paid enough for what you do, but you have a good impact on and off the court with a lot of young men here and now and in the past. Stay involved with your players. Coach Mack, I'm going to start with you, man. Let's talk about a little bit what you've got going on right now. How has the summer been? Believe it or not, in Prince William County, we go back to school August 18th.
So you have to remind us of that.
Yeah, don't remind us about that. I was just talking about that today too.
So we're not far from the first day of school, and then what that means is all of a sudden you got other stuff going on that's going to lead up to the winter season, which is basketball. But what have you been doing this summer with your squad? I know there's new rules, so like how you been adjusting? Like how's your team been looking? Live periods, how's that going?
Yeah, we've been doing good. We got back in the Capital Hoops, which we were excited about doing that. I think we did not make the playoffs in it, but there's a new rule that you can't even play because I guess the playoffs were during the dead period in that. But it's still a great league, and I'm glad I was happy I was able to get back in it. I think we have a new group of kids because I graduated about 7 or 8 seniors last year. So we have a new group of kids, and them seeing how the Capital Hoops is, seeing all the good teams, and seeing how you play was a great experience for them. It also got us prepared for the live period. St. James Live, I think we went 2-1 at St. James Live, so that was good. And then we went down to Henrico for the live period over there. That was a great venue right there. That's my first time going. It's a great venue, great basketball there. And the great thing I liked about it was public and private schools. You got to see everything. And they had a great way to set it up, too. And they didn't even use all the courts, but the way it was set up, it was great. And a great environment to play basketball. And I was glad I was a part of that. So I think we went 2-2 in that. Lost the last game we played against Glen Allen, who's a tough team. Lost a close one to them. But then right now we focus on back in the weight room and back in open gyms and conditioning right now. So we had a 2-week dead period. So that's a little the greatest thing.
Weird.
I don't understand why we have a 2-week dead period. I don't.
We can get into that because I got some theories and some truths. Yeah, so it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, and we have another one coming up at the end of August.
That's what I'm about to say. You said 2. I was about to say it's really 3.
Yes, yeah.
Because we got another one at the end of the month.
Yes. So it makes no sense because the kids want to work. So I was back in the gym this week for 3 days. So we lifted on Tuesday, open gym on Wednesday, and it's probably one of our best open gyms we had in a while. Kids were competing. Now, I know there's rules saying that you can't have former players coming at your open gym. I don't know what other people do, but it was a good open gym for us. I'm not saying who was there, but it was a great open gym. Kids were there. Kids were involved, playing, competing. And then we had our final workout of the week this week back in the gym. And then it's also camp week. So we're doing basketball camp this week. So our kids are coming to camp from about 9 o'clock to about 2:30. Then we hop right into workouts right after camp, and then they're pushing through and getting all that stuff done. So right now it's focused on getting in the weight room, getting in the gym, and skill building, and then getting ready for fall league. Because fall league after, like you said, we start school August 18th, and then once that hits, football season kicks off. Boom, fall season's here. We're right into back to basketball season. Will be here in no time. So we're just getting to that process right now, getting the grind in and working on that. I'm excited about the kids we have. I really right now looking like I may have just 4 seniors, but I have a good young group of juniors and a good young group of sophomores coming up, and also the 9th graders are coming up. So I have 9th graders coming in, and this is the most I've seen 9th grade show up to summer workout. Like I have close to about 10 or 11 kids coming to workouts already. So that's a plus, and we're just excited to work with the kids right now. We're going through a little transition change with some coaches changes and on our staff, but everything's all good. I'm happy with the staff I have. Everyone's committed, coming in and getting some work done. So we're in a good process right now where we're going. Just get these 2 weeks in, then like we talked, we have another dead period when football season starts. Then we keep on going.
Coach Mack, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention I also interviewed you not last season, but 2 years ago. You and your team at the Prince William County Media Day, Sports Media Day.
Yeah.
And I remember you guys came in And I had seen you guys play the year before. You had the regional championship game against Sherman and those boys over at Patriot that year.
Mm-hmm.
That was a few years ago. And I remember saying, wow, you have a lot of really good players. You had a good group. This is a newer group. So I know Coach Aaron and Sherman are technically your boys, but also your competitors, depending on what time of night y'all play. But are there a few players, just you don't have to name everybody, but like, I always love this question, but if, because I keep an eye on this, I cover these teams, all you guys. Is there a player or two that's really been cooking this summer that you're like, hey, his game is evolving, somebody you're very high on that's creating expectations for himself?
Yeah, there's about two kids. One is obviously our senior guard, Jaden Perry. I felt he's had a very good summer, competing, playing good defense. His jump shot, he's worked on his jump shot, got it and become a little bit more consistent. And he's very quick and fast, a great finisher of the basket. So he had a great live period. Now he's in St. Louis with his AAU team playing their live period this weekend. So he had a great summer for us. And then we have a Drayden Coates. Coates, he's a junior. He played JV for us last year, and he's just a scorer. And he at the Capital Hoops, he came off the bench. He averaged double figures off the bench. In Henrico, he was at Henrico, and he averaged double figures in the 4 games coming off the bench. So he's been really showing me a lot, and it's just not on the court, but what he does off the court with his teammates. He's a leader. We had a game versus Green Run at Henrico, which was bad. Like we didn't play well. Another team, we just didn't look well. And then we had a little talk after the game with the kids, and to try to see what they felt about the game. And Drayden really called everybody out, and then told everybody, man up. And it wasn't saying that he wasn't doing everything perfect. He said, I'm not doing everything right too. I gotta do better, but we gotta really come together, listen to coaches, listen to players, and then in the next game we played, really came to compete, and we played really well. So he showed me a lot for being a JV player, now competing with varsity kids, and the added stuff that he's brought to the table has been really good. So we have him. I have 2 young kids who are going to be sophomores next year. My starting point guard will be a sophomore. I also have a big kid that's going to be a sophomore. They've grown well, and they're starting to mature a little bit. But this is summer league, and then when you start going to fall league, it's different parts of the season. So we'll see how they do in fall league and see if they keep growing. But it's a long way. But we got some young kids that are doing some good things for us right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, man, because you guys know I'm all over social media. I know all 3 of y'all see the same stuff I see. And I was telling my guy, Lee Mary, he runs, he's in the 804, he runs Baldwin and VA podcast. And I vent to him all the time. I'm like, who are these guys that were 7th-team all-district honorable mention with these lists and rankings of teams that you're anointing as future state contenders? It's June. Yeah. It's May. Like, no, now Sherman doesn't do this, but Mac, do you run stuff or you just run basic stuff? Do you have are you putting in sets? Are you running are you just tell your guys to go hoop?
We run 1 set, and we run our basic offense, and that's it. And we just tell them to go play. Mostly what we do work on right now is defense. Make sure we're on the help side. Make sure they understand our defensive concepts. But offensively, we just try to get them to push the ball up and share the basketball. If it's getting a little crazy, I have 1 set I will call, and let's see if we can get a good shot off. And that's all we've lived on. And I don't start working on any sets or any stuff until probably we start in fall league practices, and then until we start the season. But we trying to get them to hoop. I really want to see what the kids can do. I want to see how they play, and right now, we have open gyms. We have open gyms, I'm not on the court teaching anything. I just go play, go play.
That's good.
Like one of our big kids, and we all very surprised. He's our big kid. He was playing yesterday, and he was shooting the ball, and shooting jump shots and everything. And we tried to get him to do that in games, but he never does it. And in the open gym the other day, he was doing it. So something is clicking, and we just want them to play, work on the things that we work on to see if we can do them in a live game situation. And that's what we normally do during the off season right now.
That's good. Yeah, Sherman, when he coached my son, and never, obviously, nobody, not even my other friends that are coaches, Eric Brown in Hampton or Corey Mans I'm close with. I've never told anybody and never will what they should do with their program. But I did one time. I was like, yo, Sherm, run some stuff, man. Like, yo, run. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They got to learn how to play. So, Coach Aaron, I saw you laugh when I said the 17 all district stuff, because you can laugh on this show. You can be yourself, because I'm not going to hold back. But you're muted. I want to come to you next. You have been coaching for quite some time, and now you're in the Cardinal District with Mac and those guys over at Freedom. Anthony Mills, who was going to be on tonight but couldn't make it. A very competitive district, man. So you're not new to basketball. We'll talk a little bit later about Durant and AAU, but what do you got going on with your boys? You're over at Woodbridge now.
Yeah.
What do you got going on?
Like last year when I came in, it was very different. You know, obviously coming from DC, but also I came in late. Like it took forever for them to clear me. So I think I got hired in May, and then I didn't get cleared until July. So I couldn't do anything with my team, and so I really didn't have an off season. And then we had a dead period, and so it really wasn't until August for real till I could put my hands on the team. But for the first year, I really just wanted to let things be how they were and see what needed to be. I needed to learn the culture. I didn't know a single player in the district other than Amani at Potomac, because he plays on EYBL with us. And so I really need to get a feel for it and learn. And so it was that process. But this summer, I believe in being in the gym. We do a lot of skill work. We do our weightlifting in 8-week sessions, and then we do skill work every day. And so that's just we played in the St. James, played really well. The problem at Woodbridge is that my two best players play football. So right now, they're in football, and God bless them, they do both at the same time. So they'll finish their workout in football and then run into basketball workouts. And so, but I try to be fair and give them rest. And so I do things kind of a little bit different with the conditioning right now. We do conditioning, in the course of practice, but I don't try to do any real conditioning until we get a little bit closer to the season, because I want our condition to be at its peak as we're approaching the season. And so,
that's what's up.
Yeah, I believe that if you just started like hardcore conditioning every day right now, all the way through November, guys will kind of be burnt out. So we do conditioning, but not the extreme conditioning until we get to like November and stuff. So.
Do you find it? You were at Coolidge, right, before coming?
Yeah, long time at Coolidge. Before then, I was at National Collegiate in Southeast, and then I was at another charter school in Northeast. So
so what is the biggest difference you've seen? Obviously, we all four of us know about DC. You can be honest. What is what have you seen? Like, not challenges, just the differences.
Honestly, people think like in DC, like all these kids are just tough guys, and it's just not that way for real. I would say the biggest difference is the rules and learning. Like I almost got in trouble like my first week in DC. We can recruit. And so, no, I'm good. So in DC, we can recruit. And then when I got out here, I learned you couldn't do that. And so
they do it. They do it.
Oh, man. They do it. Some people do it.
But I was out front with it because I thought that was the rule. I think that the rules, and then no shot clock obviously is.
Oh my gosh! Don't ruin the show. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Shot clock. It adjusts the way that I had to coach. The first year because of the way we like to play. And then there is an element of like my why. In DC, I work with a lot of kids that have been through different traumas. I worked as a community support worker for years. So my why was community and helping, and I had kids living with me, that just different things. And then coming out there, I don't even have to give anybody a ride home. So like those things are different, where in DC, we were such like a family because of the needs of some kids, and that my why had to change, and I had to learn and adapt to that. So
Any players though? I know you still learning. You mentioned the 2 football players.
Yeah.
Can you say their names?
Yeah.
What year they are?
They are like one. What my belief is that there's nothing you can hide. I mean, like you know what I mean. So I can tell you what we're gonna run. It's not gonna. Everybody has film and all that, but Casey obviously is our most talented player. I think last year he struggled a little bit in terms of off the field and not like necessarily him getting in trouble, but just adjusting to growing as a young man. So he was in and out a little bit. The other kid is Ralph. He's our most athletic kid. He plays football, and actually with him, we're only gonna have him till January because I believe he's going to Norfolk State for football, and so he's
playing for my cuz.
He's leaving in January. In fact, when we played Mac and Forest Park in the playoffs, he didn't play that game because he left and went to a football camp in the middle of the playoffs, and so yeah, so that was another thing that I had to adjust to. That's not something I've ever experienced, and so. But there's a couple. We lost probably our most versatile player to a private school. Cam, he was all district last year. Second team all district last year. He went to I think it's Gillian Academy. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, so he in Springfield. He left and went to Gillian, and I got so much love for him because how he handled it. He asked to speak to me in person, came and talked to me in person, explained his reasons why, and obviously, you know, I hate to see him go, but from that aspect in developing young men. I was very proud in how he handled that. So him, but so far this summer, Yasin he's been amazing all summer. He's picked up some interest from some colleges, defensive intensity. So those, you know, a couple other guys as well. I think our young guys, my first class coming in, we got 2 freshmen that'll probably make varsity, and that's those. And I don't do sympathy like
Yeah.
You really have impressed me, and so I'm really impressed with the guys we got coming in. We have another really, really talented guy, trying to get him to understand the buy-in aspect of it. So yeah, I'm excited about the upcoming season.
I'm glad you made that.
And I added 2 new coaches as well. Coach Quad from AKT, who I used to coach before Durant. I coached at New World. Coach Quad and I won 17U on Adidas together. We won the whole thing. So he's joining the staff. And then there's a former Garfield player named Chris Dawes who's joining the staff.
Yeah, and I saw that Coach Quad. I know him. My son played for New World. I know that guy's good coach, very good coach. Yeah. Also, I'm glad you clarified the DC thing. Again, I moved up here 25 years ago after my pro football career ended, and I worked at Baloo a little bit. I was doing some semi-pro adult flag league, and I would be in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And like you, I work with kids and families in the community. And I realized, there might be some differences. Obviously, Baltimore kids, DC kids, whatever, PG, but kids are kids.
No, for sure.
And you got to meet them where they at and connect with them. Sometimes we kind of look at something at one group and say it's like this. So I'm glad you're able to say that and verbalize that in the way that,
I was speaking in terms of the basketball players. Like everybody, like when I remember being at Coolidge, or especially when I was in the charter schools in Southeast, when we would come play teams in Virginia, they would just almost like be worried that something was going to happen. And I'm just like, it's not that way with these kids.
Yeah.
Basketball is basketball. They know they have to conduct themselves a certain way. Most of them are good kids, and pretty much all of them are good kids. So I think you kind of get like this, kind of this thing over our head about the type of kids that we had and type of kids that are in DC. Don't get me wrong. You can't deny that element exists, but it doesn't exist on the basketball court.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. No, appreciate that. Sherm, you've been busy as usual, like your colleagues here this summer, man. I saw you guys play in Henrico live period, the one Coach Mack was talking about. It was a great atmosphere. I love that. Zay was a little jealous, because they seem like the live periods are getting better and better. They're figuring it out better, unlike the VHSL when it comes to rules. But you've been busy this summer, man. You lost a player, but at the same time, you've had some players really step up. I know it's summer, but what have you had got going on besides the Henrico live? I know you had the dead period.
We played in the Capital Hoop Summer League. We did really well. I would have loved to have seen how we would have done in the playoffs of that after going 7-1 against that type of competition. But, the VHSL rules didn't lend itself for us having that opportunity. The live periods, I thought went well. By the end of it, I felt like the wheels started to come off a little bit because we had some injuries. You mentioned obviously we had the kid transfer. We had a kid that was out of town for something that he couldn't help in that situation. So we were down on numbers. But I still was happy with the progression. The great thing about those situations is that it gives other kids opportunities to show whether or not they can contribute on your basketball team because they're put into a situation where you might not have played them in that sort of scenario if everybody was there. So that was a great thing because I saw some things from some kids that, I already like our depth, and what we've always, pride ourselves on is having a lot of guys that can get it done. But I've found out through some of those games towards the end that we got some guys that can contribute and do some things for us. And not only like a little bit now or however it grows into, but more so going forward when this group of seniors graduates.
Yeah. No, again, I like your team. I like, especially that kid. What's my man's name? I always forget his name. Devin, number 12. What's his name? Jaden. I always say Devin. Jaden. Yeah. Love his game. Love his game. Love Noah. Love his tenacity. Obviously, Elijah is the headliner, but
still, the person really, man, that had a great summer. Obviously, Elijah did very well during Kappa Hoops. But if I had to pick a person who really played his ass off during the live period, especially at Henrico, it was Sean Matthews. Sean had 20 points in 3 of the 4 games. I think he had 6 threes in the Petersburg game. And that was obviously rough for him because Elijah didn't play in that game. So he was able to show his versatility without the guy that most of those colleges had came to see. So, and he was able to get himself some attention from some scholarship level programs. So that was a good thing for him. Obviously, you mentioned Noah and everything that he's able to do for us. All those coaches are really excited about some of the stuff that he can do, and obviously he's already been on a couple of campuses already. You mentioned Jaden, who's obviously one of our up and comers. I don't even think he realizes how good he's going to be yet. That's you kind of realize that with some of your younger guys is where like they growing into their bodies, they're getting better, but you can still see that there's like they just haven't connected the dots all the way to exactly how they're going to be the most effective consistently. And that was another situation with Elijah not playing in the Petersburg game where he had to be the guy to handle the ball and deal with all that athleticism out there trying to, navigate that. So I thought that was a good growing experience for him. Like losing Carson Cook was, it sucks as a kid that was a big time program kid for us. Family legacy type of stuff. His brother's playing at our high school. But his family felt like that was a good situation for him. And I even called him last week just to check in to see how he was doing. And, hopefully, it works out for him. And if it doesn't, and you always got a place he can come back to if need be. So, it's the nature of the beast. You don't always agree, but, you got to roll with it. And this next guy up opportunity, and that's kind of what happened. So, like I said, I was good with it. DC Live, we were able to participate in that. That's always a good event, good venue, a lot of coaches, a lot of good competition. And now I see the VHSL Live. I really was impressed, like these guys are talking about, man, with the Henrico one. I thought that the venue was great. I thought that the premise was great. The amount of coaches in the building, being able to watch public and private schools in the same place. Was a great thing. I know our Petersburg game was kind of standing room only there with the amount of coaches that were there. Some guys you don't even realize are coaching in places. Jacques Vaughn's on the sideline. I'm a kid, grew up in the 90s, man. Jacques Vaughn's a big deal for me.
Absolutely.
So I see him over there on the sideline. I'm thinking about him and Rex Chapman back in the day.
Yes.
So those type of things, seeing those type of schools there, Kansas, UConn, Oklahoma State, not saying that those guys are necessarily there for us, but we were able to play in front of that, and some guys might have got some attention from that. But the Old Dominions of Mount St. Mary's, those sort of schools were there to watch a couple of our guys. So that's the level of talent that we have, and we got guys that are good at all these levels, Division 1, 2, or 3. And, Dwight talked about the prep school option. I think is a great thing for kids these days, too. So,
yeah, I do. And shout out
and Bob was there, too. He was there watching. So,
of course he was. I'm glad. Shout out to my guy, Bob. And I want to say this, too, about Sean. Shout out to Sean, man, because I tweeted after that weekend. I saw him play 3 times, and I tweeted this. I don't shy away from my opinion. I feel like right now, as good as Elijah and those other guys are, and the district, there's other players, but I feel like right now, obviously, it's only July, but he put himself in position to be a Player of the Year candidate in the district, because if he shoots the ball the way he did, that weekend and continues to work on his game and the team he has around him, you guys play very unselfish. I think he'll be in position to be in the conversation and have a chance. But we're a long way from that. But
he's one of those kids, man. He's real sneaky good. Just because we spread it around the way that we do, he was only about 10 or 11 points a game last season, but he shot 42% from 3 and shot 80% from the line. So the way he's shooting right now isn't like new. He just get more of them.
That's funny because that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it is sometimes. But, good for him, man, because, and I know Aaron and Mac, you guys know this, man, but today's climate of high school basketball and even college basketball, some kids, if they don't assert themselves, and this is no different, but I think it's harder now with social media, they sometimes get lost in what their role is. They want to rush the process. I think that's the cool thing about it, is to watch a player's journey. Like how Sherman mentioned how he only had 11, but now he's out here cooking this summer. That's good to see. Now, I want to switch gears, though. I want to talk about Prince William County. So I mentioned before we hit recording that I'm a Tidewater guy, but I'm probably more Nova than Tidewater now. I've been living up here 25 years, but I travel across the Commonwealth. I'm in D.C. and Maryland a lot, and I was in North Carolina this past weekend. I have gone on record in recent years on a few Facebook group chats and other platforms I'm on, including X, aka Twitter, and said Prince William County for football and basketball, going back years, but since my time here, has really asserted himself as a powerful region in producing talent. Football and basketball. So with that being said, how do you guys, with your program, maintain culture and expectations, realistic expectations? Because with the growth of Prince William County, surrounded by private schools and other public schools, and you have more media outlets like, Julian Brown, his stuff, his podcast, shout out to Julian, mine, and other, Matt Hatfield's. There's more media attention than ever. Prince William County won states with OP girls. Kelly's been on the show recently. Shout out to her. And then, they've also won football a few years back to back with the Overton brothers. And then Gainesville High School just won baseball. I know it's different. It's a different classification, but there's a lot of talent here. I was a guy that moved up here 25 years ago, completely ignorant to it. Didn't know, but in the last several years, I'm in the middle of it. I talk to a lot of coaches and players. So the question I have, anybody can start this off, how do you keep the evolution of your program while also creating new expectations and keeping that momentum going and keeping your program relevant? Because they're always building high schools. This county has a lot of schools. And the Cedar Run District just added some really good coaches who I'm going to have on here coming up. Some good coaches, at Battlefield, and Osborne's got a great coach. How do y'all navigate through that? Because with the growth, there are more private schools being built, more public schools on the way, AAUA organizations. How do you keep everybody involved where you kind of work with each kid, making sure they understand their role, and also making sure you keep the culture and expectations relevant in the modern era with VHSL, NIL, scholarships? It's crazy right now. It's harder to me, in my humble opinion, to coach now compared to when I was being coached. Who wants to take that question on?
I'll say this. This year has been all about building the culture for me, because like I said, last year was kind of just like a fly-by year. I'm seeing what the county is like. I'm getting to know guys in the county, other coaches. I'm getting to compete against the Forest Parks and the Potomac and really learn the layout. I'll say for me is that I think you have to be excellent at using your resources. I'm a coach that does we have a lot of guest speakers. I've been very fortunate enough. I've worked at Nike headquarters, so I have great relationships. I coach with Durant. I've coached with New World. So I've brought in guys from within the organization. I brought in college coaches. And so you really have to show them that this is something different than anywhere else they're going to be. And one thing I know about kids that's much different from when we grew up is that they use their resources as well. And so they're way more informed than we ever was. And so and I use this example all the time. I think our biggest problem is that growing up, we didn't know what the top guy was doing because you didn't see it.
Right.
So if there was a guy, and I'll use a guy that plays at Durant. He's the number one player in the country. It's Baba.
Mm-hmm.
All the kids know who he is, and they know where he's going to school. They know where he's considering. They know what schools are after him because it's all on social media. And so what I think happens is kids see what the top guy is doing, and they want to imitate that. And Sherman and I was talking about this the other day. When I was in high school, I didn't want to go to private school. I didn't. They tried to get me to go for football. I'm like, nah, I don't want to go there. But now when they see the top kid, they're like, I need to do that because that's what he's doing. So I'm going to go and they'll do that. And so I think you just have to have great relationships and use your resources and really be ahead of the curve and forward thinking with that. And so that's my philosophy on it. I think you have to play an exciting brand of basketball and buy into that. And that's what we try to do going forward this year, especially because last year I had to kind of play to my personnel. This year we've been able to get the kind of guys, fortunately, that I like to have in there. And so, I'm excited for that.
That's a great point. Hold on, Sherman, before you respond. That's a great point because in my question, I didn't add this point, but one thing I've seen, especially living up here now 25 years, and I see it back home in the 757 and 804, what you see, even with private and some public, is schools that aren't staying above water are drowning. And you see programs getting cut. That's why I mentioned the growth of Prince William County, because my wife grew up here. She was all met and track, and it was basically Stonewall, Garfield. It was only like 5 or 6 schools. Now, man, there's all these schools. And if you're not up on it and playing an excited brand of basketball and having resources and talking to parents, they kind of get caught up, and then your program is gone. And sure. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, before I had this question like my first month at the school. One of the kids, last year I coached 17s at Durant. So we had a Caden Lewis who was very popular. Yeah. We had Cam Ward who was very popular. And one of the kids asked me, and he said, "Coach, how can I be like a Caden Lewis?" And I was just like, I didn't understand that because to me, he's in high school like you're in high school.
Mm-hmm. Just weird.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
I had to really learn, the culture of Prince William County in terms of basketball. I mean, I'm familiar with the area, obviously, but I had to learn the culture in terms of basketball and specifically to that school because I needed to get that information so I can know what to do this year. You know what I mean? And that's
absolutely
that's what I'm building on now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to piggyback off a lot of what he said because it's funny now because now I've been in it a while. Mac probably looked like, man, you just kind of got started because Mac been doing it forever. This is going to my 10th year. Just I remember what Aaron is doing and having to do that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, like, I came into a situation where mine's different, obviously, Aaron. There's like a culture that was a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Not anything that was been recent. So it's almost like these kids don't remember what Coach Robinson did or anybody like that. They don't care. But so it's so me coming in a situation I was at, like it was like there was no history of anything. Mm-hmm. There was no history of success. There was no history of winning. So all those kids knew was, oh, here we go again. And it was so funny watching it because you go from Potomac, where like we walk in and be like, man, we all beat y'all by 30. To, man, I hope we come within 10. And it's like, and so, but the kids, you could see like they didn't have that kind of swag to them. And my biggest thing, and you can attest to this now, Dwight, because your son's been through it. You see all these boys, and obviously All of them was just together the other day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to walk around with their Patriot stuff on and be proud of that. Like, that was like my biggest thing. I remember wearing my Potomac shorts to AAU practice and being like, man, I play Potomac. Like, anywhere I wear these shorts at, they know what this is. Like, it precedes me and what I am. So you already got to respect that I can hoop somewhat because I got these on. Now it's time for me to match that and show you what I can do. So that gets you in the door a little bit. So I wanted them to have that. I want them to be like, oh, he plays at Patriot. Oh, look, man, those dudes nice, like all that. And so it kind of started there, but it was like, it has to be an everyday thing. It can't be, your culture has to just be. It can't be something where I got to say it or I got to have a specific person there. You know, I'm not going to say the coach has said it, but one of them said something about like, oh, the culture is gone with like a group that he had. Your culture don't leave with kids. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Now, they might enforce it a little bit different, but your culture is your culture. Like, you are that. Like, you set the precedent, the standard for that sort of stuff. So coming in consistently every day, you know, with the right type of work ethic, the right type of preparedness, like you said, the brand of basketball you want to play, that's all well and good. But I remember, you know, everybody's like, well, how are you going to play? You're going to be that up and pressed and all that other type stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't know what type of kids I'm going to have. This is a public school. I got to wait and see. I knew it was coming through the door of Potomac. You know what I'm saying? Like, these tough kids, they going to talk to you. They going to get up in you, and they want to do all that. I didn't know that when I was getting to a Patriot. I thought, you know, but at the same time, you got to be around them. You got to see where they at. And that first year, I saw where they were at. They worked really hard for me, and I love them to death forever for that. But I remember being at the Purple School, and I remember them dudes was punking us. And I was thinking to myself, how are we in Haymarket, Virginia, scared? Like, I remember thinking that, like, in the game. But there was nothing I could do because I don't play no more. You know, so I just remember I said to our coaches after that game, I said, we will never, ever be scared to play anywhere in a 10-mile radius of us. I can tell you that right now. So our whole off season was pushed towards that. We got to be tougher. We got to be ready to go no matter the opponent. It can't be, all right, you know, I forget everything that I learned because somebody get up in my stuff. We go down to Richmond the next year in Henrico's Holiday Hoops Tournament. So you know what we saw down there, you know. So it just, and like it kind of grows. Like you see the confidence grow to the point where it's like, we're not going to lose. And then when you lose, you shocked. Like, I can't believe we didn't win that game. And so now we move from, all right, let's get to 500 to, if we don't win 20 games, I'm going to be upset. You know what I'm saying? And luckily enough, we've had the right type of kids, the right type of work ethic, and the right type of mindset that we have been able to consistently do that. But that all started with establishing the culture of what we were and how we were going to work. The talent might have gone up, but the work is still the same. Like, I got older kids that are mad at me thinking I'm not working these guys hard enough. Right? You know, so that's the funny part. Like, they say, Coach, you getting soft. And I'm thinking to myself, I just made these dudes win 12-400s the other day.
And to piggyback off of that, Sherm, I don't know if y'all know, but Sherm knows, but we played Forest Park in the district playoffs, and it was a very, very good game, back and forth. They went up 20. We came back, took the lead. I believe went to overtime. Yeah, and we had the ball with 10 seconds left with a chance to win. And I remember after the game, if you look at the film, I'm not even upset. And we walked in the locker room, and first thing I said to our guys, like, I want you guys to understand we did not deserve to be champions yet. And that kind of ushered in our offseason.
Yes. And you're going to see the big difference this season.
And I remember, guys were, there was a quote unquote controversial call or whatever. I said, I don't want to hear that.
Yep.
And I told them, I said, you have to get to a point in your culture and your being who you are to deal with adversity. We got called that word controversy on the other end as well. Fouls, that's just part of the game. And so Of course, you don't play to lose. You always play to win. But I remember thinking like this is going to be good for us going into the off season from a culture standpoint because you have to earn the right to be a champion. I felt that Forest Park had established, that's what they were. It was just their time, and so I think the point guard. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was hurt or he might have been sick that game. Sal was that.
Ethan. I think he might have been sick that game or something. I think.
And so the other kid who I'm a big fan of, what's the other guard name?
Jaden.
Jay, I thought he just caused a lot of issues for us. But in terms of
really good.
Yeah, he's before the game I told Sherman, I said, man, that's what I'm worried about.
I said
Big boy gonna do his thing.
I said the same thing.
That's who I was worried about. But going back to the culture piece, I felt like that's why we weren't ready yet. We weren't established yet. Yeah, we played well enough to maybe steal a game, but I felt like we had to build this culture first. You know what I mean?
Like you said, man, it's crazy how that happens because, like I said, I've talked about that first season, and that was like the only season that we've been under 500, right? But if you really kind of dive into it, we finished 11th and 15, but we lost the game to go to the state tournament.
Right.
Like, we won our first regional tournament game that year when we upset Centerville at their place.
Right.
We go to Woodson, the eventual state champ, and push them to double overtime. And they end up winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I remember in the locker room, because like I said, it was a bunch of our kids were coming back, and it was our better kids that were coming back. And Drake Marshall, one of our best players all time, ended up being an all-conference kid in college a couple times. He comes up to me like, I just got done with the speech, right? And I'm not sad because I'm like, man, we competed. That was really fun. Like, we on the way. And he said to me, Coach, when we start workouts, I was like, bro, we got it. Like, we good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew right there that we had changed it for real. Like, you see glimpses of it, but until you see something like that, and it's like I said, and then you fast forward later on in that team that we had that went 26-1, and you always think, it's got to be like a kid like, Nasir Coleman was a great player for us, but everybody knew he had a big personality.
Right.
So you would assume he would be the guy that's yelling at people, doing all that. Well, the guy on that team that had the loudest voice was Mike Ackerman, a 5'10" white kid. And whenever he said, people, they like this. And I remember in the preseason, I ain't going to say the words he said exactly, but, we have our running and everything else like that. And I tell kids, listen, man, I said, either you keep up or you get left behind. Like, I'm not going to slow this thing down for you. I said, we compete in everything we do. And if you don't want to compete, this isn't the place for you. Okay? And this kid, he's a young kid. He's his first time there, and he's running. And like I told you, this group we just graduated all those kids, and everybody's like, what we going to do? And everything else like that, because we just had the kids from the previous year, and with Trey Nelson and all them, and then all of a sudden you look at this kid's running, and they're like, come on, man, pick it up. And Mike Agnew said, no, F that kid. He don't want to run. He don't need to be here. This is we talking about a 4.2 student, like anything you can think of decorated academically. And like could have went and played basketball, but decided he's just gonna go be in a frat and hang out at the University of South Carolina. And listen, I mess around and be president one day. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of kid we're talking about. And when he said that, I was like, man, we really did something right, because those kids taking that and saying those type of things, and it wasn't so much like F the kid, like screw you, we don't want you around. It's like, you're not working at the level that we're working at. You can't be here if you're not going to come up to this level. And that's, like, culture is such a big thing, man. Like I said, your kid's going to change, kids are going to transfer, they graduate. You got to sustain that success, and we've been lucky enough to do that for an extended period of time. The culture's got to be there, and the kids got to carry it on to the next group, and they got to push that next group. We had conditioning this morning, and we always talk about the kids that, get buckets for us are really good. We have a kid on our team named Tim Odell that played JV last year, right? And Tim was actually one of the top players on the JV team. But this year, he was probably just going to be a role guy trying to find minutes. So he was one of those kids that benefited from kids not being there at the live period. So he played a lot. And when I tell you, I haven't seen a better 3-and-D guy around here. after watching that, the way he was able to guard, knock down shots, make tough plays, 50-50 balls. But then I watched him today when most of our vets are out of town because AAU is going on, people traveling. So I just had a lot of young kids, like incoming ninth graders, and then like a couple like kids that didn't travel with the AAU teams. And Tim was one of them. And when I tell you, he ran the entire workout. Whenever somebody put their hands on their knees, he said, stand up, because that is the thing for us. You don't bend over in these runs. You don't show anybody you're tired. And I didn't have to say one word the entire time. And this is a kid that hasn't played a varsity minute outside of the summertime. I don't have to worry about stuff for the next 2 years because he's got it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now when the vets come back, he feels a little bit more empowered to play better, play harder, do all that type of stuff. And it's like, that's the type of stuff I really enjoy about this, man. It's like seeing the growth of men. You see what I'm saying? Like the basketball is the bonus, and hopefully you can win some games in it. But seeing the growth of young men, I think, is what it really does. And that's what your culture does for kids.
No doubt. Matt, did you want to add any point about culture?
Yeah, culture is a very, very big thing. And I remember when I first got the job and trying to build the culture, trying to build the atmosphere of love in Forest Park and just getting people to enjoy wearing Forest Park gear. When I first got it, people didn't like wearing Forest Park gear. So it's a process, and you just got to get the right group of kids, and you start that culture, and you don't back down. You have kids that leave, that transfer. You say you're going to be in the gym and work harder. To me, like I've dealt with the transfer issue, kids have left. I've dealt with the kids that left day before tryouts. You got through fall league and everything. I had kids leave. But I remember that day when that happened to us, our coaching staff were talking and we were stuff, and it was when it happened, my son was being born, so I was at the hospital. I was in school. So we texted with the coaches, find out. So the next time we had workouts, we met with the kids. And we told them, we said, we still gonna win the district championship with the group we have here. We think we can win. And we're gonna work and do what we've done because we've worked to this point. And they left, that's fine. Wish them the best, but we're gonna continue building and we're gonna continue working and we're gonna get better. And it's like making it exciting, making the kids understand that when the work that they're putting in is making them better. Having them believe that they're getting better by doing, and that's what I think the buy-in is for us and building the culture. The kids enjoy coming to our workouts. I'm not trying to say that other people's workouts are not good, but if you come to our workouts, you're gonna work. You come to our workouts, you're gonna work, you're gonna get better, and it's a process through the whole thing of getting to the point. So, and then that's the thing. Another thing is when the kids that have been through the whole thing come back to your school, and they are working with the kids that are there now. That's also a big.
That's culture.
That's also a big cultural piece of the whole thing. So, and we've gotten to the point where we have it at Forest Park. Like we said the other Wednesday was we had a great open gym, and a lot of my old kids that play AAU and a couple of young, they're not with us. Mostly young kids. I think I had one senior that's in the gym at that time.
Hey man, don't get yourself in trouble, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Hey, let me say these things.
I might get myself in trouble, but like it was a great ball. The kids are getting better, and that's the type of environment you want to build. And
for sure.
And I remember when I was in school, that's the type of environment that they built at Garfield and Sherman will use at Potomac, and then that's the culture you got to build. And you will have kids leave, and you will have kids may come back, but the culture kids are the ones that are going to keep your program going. The culture kids going to believe in. It may not be a kid that maybe go D1, but it's a kid that can go either D3 or D2 and play very good basketball and make a big career that change their life. So that's the process and what we've done here at Forest Park, and that's the thing that I'm selling. And that's the thing. I'm not selling now. I'm not trying to get. I'm not trying to hoping for a kid to come in or transfer a kid to come in. No, I'm looking at my ninth grades and build from there. I'm looking at my sophomores and build from there. And if you're able to play, if you're a freshman, you can play varsity. I'm gonna play you in varsity. That's the thing. So, but everyone's gonna compete. So that's the culture.
That's it. That's you hear that. It's constant through it. Everybody talking about competing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the culture, and it's great, you know, when you got kids that come back and feed that into the kids that you have in your program, and they can see the success that some of them have had, especially when you've had kids that have been able to go on to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hold that thought too, Sherman, about the next level, because we're going to segue into that right after I ask Coach Mack this question. You know, Coach Mack, you know, I watched your program really emerge as, you know, one of the staples in Prince William County and in Northern Virginia quietly. You're not as outspoken on Twitter and Instagram as Sherman. You know, Sherman, like I said, seriously and jokingly, he was trending a couple of times. He's going at it, but you know, I get it, right? That's him. But I'm going to ask you this question. Do you feel a little overshadowed or disrespected because you are in a very interesting region where on your side of the region, you have Potomac, who has a rich history. Kendall, my homie, Honorary Coach Keith, a lot of all-state, all-Americans and college players, D1, D2, D3. Then Garfield and Woodbridge they're older and they have history. I know Garfield hasn't gotten back to that, but they're still known. But Forest Park, you know, regional championship games, went to states a few years ago. You had those crazy battles with Freedom versus Shamar and Tavares. And then, you know, y'all district, as I said, as I recorded this, you guys, it's weird. Y'all beat up, it's the weirdest district ever.
Yeah.
Because y'all are all, but do you feel like, and you know, you have Freedom in football when Overton and those guys, before they left to go to the St. James, were winning states. And, you know, I'm old enough to remember when Forest Park was first built. Do you feel like, I know you have a great program and the culture's there, but do you feel like that works to your advantage? Do you even feel that way? Or is that just my perception?
I think it works to my advantage a little bit, because if fans going to want to see Potomac, okay, if people don't come see Potomac is a prize. They're going to get good getting. So I feel that I use that as a coach and as a program that's not well known as an advantage of that. We got to keep up with the Joneses. We got to keep up and compete and be able to step up, because that's the type of atmosphere they're going to bring. And also, we have kids here that will make names of themselves, because what do you want to build? Be the one to start. That's what we saw with Ethan. Be the first to do what other people haven't done here before. Be the first to win a district championship. Be the first to take the team to a regional. All right. Be the first to put the numbers up there on the banner. And then that's what and when they came in as freshmen, that's what we challenged them at. Him, Brandon, and even the like Roman and JMP, those kids, they were sophomores, and Ethan and them were freshmen. We challenged, be the first to put something up there. And then you can remember that for the rest of your life. And you may come in here, you may move out the area and come to DC and visit. And stop at my high school. Yep, the high school. I put that championship banner up there. And that's that's what we do. We try to be the first, and now we've gotten it. You want to still now, you don't want to go down.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go down, so you keep working to try to stay up there. And now the other kids have seen it. Other kids have seen one of the championships. Obviously they want to get there. So, and that's the type of thing we keep. And I don't know if I'm overshadowed. Hey, we'll take the pub if you guys like us. We'll take as many pubs as you want.
Well, Coach Mack, I was saying overshadowing the fact that you got Woodbridge. You know, again, I'm not from Makafui. I've lived here a long time. Even before I moved up here, Woodbridge is known. And you know, then you have Potomac, as you mentioned, we both mentioned, is well known. Then you also have, you know, Los isn't on here tonight, but you have Hayfield, of course, that's Fairfax. You have South Lakes, you have Westfield. And sometimes it's one of those things where, because Forest Park is a great school and it's just tucked away. I've missed that turn so many times to get into Forest Park. Yeah. It's not a negative. I just was curious just for the episode. Go ahead, Aaron.
I think that Coach Mack has done an amazing job. Obviously, I'm not just saying it. I competed against him. I think that they are a bit overshadowed. And the reason I say that is this. When I first got the job, he just said it. They talked about beating Potomac. They talked about beating Garfield. And then they talked about, you know, I don't know if you guys know, Sherman knows, but I was hired at Freedom originally.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I got hired at Freedom. I took the job, and then like a week after I took the job, Nike called and I accepted the job at Nike.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
Oregon. But even when I took the job at Freedom, they were talking about, again, Potomac and Woodbridge. And so when I finally got to Woodbridge and took the job, and they were talking, and I played against Forest Park, I'm like, why nobody told me about them? Because like this is. I mean, obviously I'm watching film, but like the program that he's built has, at least from what I've seen, has been really good. And then when we got to play them in the playoffs, I don't know if maybe it was the time of the year, but I just felt like it wasn't enough notoriety to not only just that game, but just that program in the playoffs. I didn't think that it got enough hype. I didn't think that people were talking about it. It was almost like they were waiting for Potomac to win. And again, Mac, you probably don't know this. Sherman knows. My nephew won a state title at Potomac. Sherman was my nephew. My nephew started point guard. Elijah Camp was starting.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
that's my nephew. That's my brother's son.
Nice.
And so I know about the history of Potomac. I know how much that means to them and how much it means to Sherman to be an alumni. I just think that it is a little overshadowed from what I've seen thus far in terms of what Forest Park has done in the recent years, for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, let me say this as an alum, and obviously I'm not there now. You know what I'm saying? It's some deep history of domination in this county
For sure.
from Potomac High School. And and I think the funny thing about it is, and this is, I'll probably get myself in trouble with this, is that their domination is so deep within this county that no one is noticing that we've been dominating the county.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like even every year you're gonna hear all Potomac's like, hey, when's the last time we haven't won this thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not to be arrogant about it. It's just that I'm using it as an example to show that they always gonna have that. As long as they are good enough to compete for district, regional, state tournament type of stuff. And they deserve that. Coach Hayes built that. Coach Keith kept it going. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, and it's going to continue that. That's like people being mad that everybody think Duke or Carolina is going to win the ACC,
right,
even though Clemson might have the best roster. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's where it is with that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's so true. I talk to Sherman at least every other day, if not every day.
Right.
For the longest time, I didn't even realize Patriot was in Prince William County.
See what I'm saying?
I know that they're good. I know they're winning. Obviously, Sherman and I are super close, but I didn't even realize it was in Prince William County for the longest time because of the things that he's saying. So again, go back to the original point. I know Mac is being humble about it, but I do think they're a bit overshadowed. I think the season they had last year, even before I came out here, I knew the things that they were doing, and even with guys like Tavares at Freedom, I felt like quietly Forest Park was really building some space.
And like I said, it was more than quiet. I know me and Dwight talk a lot too. And I'm not saying this. Like I said, I know me and Aaron really tight. Listen, like me and Mac been tight for a minute. We played on many a men's league team together. See what I'm saying? And I always would say, I said, Mac, man, you about to get this joint. I mean, we would talk about it.
Yeah, we did.
I said, y'all about to get this. I can see it. I can tell. I said, we're going to be playing y'all in this regional championship game. And he's like, oh, we'll see, man. We're going to try. I said, all right. Because you could see what he was doing with that group. You know what I'm saying? They came in as young kids. They were really good. Unfortunately, the one kid had an injury, so he didn't play the one season where they really that was the season where he had the wings, he had the bigs, and he was going to have the guard. And I understand probably I'm bringing it up as making you angry, but you know what I'm saying? But they had a little hiccup in that one, but they still were good. But then when they brought the guard back, you seeing it's like, these dudes, you know what I'm saying? So he does a really good job with his group. You know what I'm saying? They play hard. And if you can have a group that plays hard all the time, those kids respect the coach.
Yeah, I really wish Mills could have made it.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. But I say that I wish Mills could have made it tonight because I love the fact that you guys have this great respect for each other, but also all of y'all are very competitive because it just gets me excited for this upcoming season because, I remember that year they played Patriot for the regional championship. Both teams ultimately go to states, but everybody was shocked because Freedom that year had upset Battlefield in Battlefield in like double or triple overtime. Shamar and Tavares combined for like 60 points.
Yes.
And I told my son, I said, it's gonna be Forest Park. And he was like, I don't know, Freedom. I said, man, I'm telling you. And it's so weird because you got a great program, and I know you're chill and humble, but you're very competitive. Especially that white guy that coaches with you that calls out all the plays. I don't know.
He'd be in that film, brother. He'd be in that film.
That dude called out all the plays.
He know our plays better than the kids.
I don't know if Mike noticed this. Played them in the playoffs. I purposely held back 2 sets that we ran all fourth quarter when we were coming back. And if you go look at the film, we had ran it all fourth quarter, had success. When it got to that last possession, I probably went to it one too many times. And they jumped it, and the kid, and that's when they called the travel. But the guy called out, when we played him the first time, he called out every single baseline out of bounds and said, I said, when we go to this playoff game, I'm going to be prepared for them. He is on top of. He is on.
Dude, he called out my son's senior year, they played at Forest Park. It was big anticipated game, especially after the year before when they both met in the regional finals and went to states. And he said, he's coming your way. He called. I said, man, this dude knows everything.
Yep.
I was like, yo. He was like, he's going to set the down screen.
Yep.
I was like, yo.
But you know what I appreciate about that, man? Like we talk about competitive, and this is why I was like, we got all these weirdos out here now. It's like he would do that, and you know me. I'm like, well, y'all ain't about to stop it. And then we dap up like, man, listen. I love that. Like compete. Like I know y'all prepared. We prepared. Let's see how it go. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's really cool, man.
The culture thing. If you again that game, I think Mac, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were up at one point, maybe 18 or 20.
Yeah, we were up big and early, and
and we came back and took the lead. One thing I noticed, and I remember telling my staff, I said, Mac never changed his expression though. He didn't get rattled. He didn't like, oh man, they took the lead. I think we took the lead maybe 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, whatever it was. He stayed right here, and I was like, I remember saying to myself, like, yeah, he know what he's doing, because that's the key. Teams are gonna make runs. It's the playoffs. We're playing for our lives. Great competitive game, and so I just remember that I said, yeah, he's doing it right over there, because he stayed right here. I thought I said when kid first team on district kid David hit a 3 by our bench and we took the lead, and I looked down and I said we broke him. And I looked down, he didn't even flinch. I said, nah,
because they got us the previous year. Kids got us the previous year in the district game and knocked us out with the shot, and that was in our heads the whole time when we just got to figure out we weren't trying to lose to Woodbridge. But that was a great game. But the story with Ryan coming on my staff is such a great story. It's not even funny. Like he contacted me during COVID. Like we were all COVID at home. He sent me this long email, and then I was like, okay. Then I was finally able to get a hold of him. We talked. Then he told me about his story. He's in the restaurant business. He wants to get into teaching. He hasn't started classes yet, but he really wants to get into teaching and wants to get into coaching. He's coached in Ohio before. So then, I said, okay, if you really want to try to do this, so we got him on the staff. And his first day, he was so excited. Remember when we had to do like that Naviance thing, Sherman, where you have to clock in if you have any calls or anything? Right. He forgot to do that. So I trained him at the door.
So he couldn't come to practice?
Yeah, I trained him at the doors like, who's this guy?
Right.
And then he had to run to his car, gotta get to do it, then he's able to work and get it practice. But he's been all in since day one. He's our strength and conditioning guy. He watched film. I thought I watched a lot of film. He watches film all the time. He watched film of what you call it games of
the live period game.
Live period game.
Yeah, I figured.
He watches film of live period game. So I stopped watching. I just go right. So what's this team gonna do? What they have? Who they have? But yeah,
that's great. That's great to have it on your staff like that, man. Like that's awesome, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that goes, like you said, goes into his culture too, though. Mm-hmm. And it's Dwight, you talk about like Prince William County, just like what we've been able to do. And Aaron kind of touched on the brand of basketball, but really, I've touched on some of these other podcasts. Like, man, you got to have the energy to put into this thing.
Yeah.
From all aspects.
Yeah.
You got a social media, graphic design, and I like to think that we've been at the forefront of a lot of this and pushing a lot of other people kind of to do these sorts of things that has grown our game for like having situations where that's a really good game, but people have already come because they saw the graphic that Mac put up before the game. You know what I'm saying? So those sorts of things, the midnight madnesses that everybody's starting to have. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I first got, I was like, man, I want to do this. And it sounds like a really good idea, but it's like, well, you got to have some guys that are going to make the people want to come.
Yeah, you're right.
And so, and you tweak things here and there, and just like you said, all that, and just like the different, what you do, Dwight, obviously promoting us and doing this, like all that stuff helps us grow it and keep our county what it is. It's always been really good and really talented, you know what I'm saying? And I know that a lot of people looked at us because we have so many really good athletes that we just kind of rolling these balls out and just seeing how it goes, because we score a lot of points down here. But and I remember the old region where we were mixed with Fairfax, and a lot of those dudes, they won't admit it, even the ones that we're cool with, but they look at us as an inferior brand of basketball.
Yeah, they won't play us.
They do. They think because they run 80 sets and scores 45-40 that they coach so hard. It's like, okay, good for you.
Look. I'm gonna say I'm a 7'5" guy. I played football and basketball in Hampton, and I played for Boo Williams before he was Boo Williams, when he was looking for gym space. And I played against Chuck, aka obviously. I can name drop all day long. Respectfully, during my era in the 90s and early 2000s, we knew about Potomac and Woodbridge. I'm not even trying to throw shade, but we scrimmaged. I'm talking football and basketball. When it came to Fairfax County, nah, I'm sorry, no disrespect. And I rock with a lot of those guys. Those are my guys. But they were, I'm not even trying to take it there, but like we were in a whole different stratosphere. We did not look at them the same. Prince William is interesting because they are a neighboring county, but it's a very diverse county in regards to not just the brand of basketball and football, but as Aaron talked about, Patriots on the West End, where I live right now. It's funny, man, because years ago, the West End was an appetizer for the East Side. Like you kind of see it now in baseball, football, and basketball. The West Side, including Battlefield and Bristol and Gainesville and, Patriot and all these different sections in these communities, has really taken off. Where it's not like it used to be, which helps the county overall, because Woodbridge is always going to have athletes, Potomac is always going to have athletes, Garfield, but you also have the same thing over here in football and basketball. So it's good. The county is definitely
you know that made me laugh. Do you bring that up talking about athletes? I think this when I was like, man, we really changed this place. Like I'm not even gonna say who it is, because there was this coach talking crazy. Talking about, man, Sherman and them got to be recruiting over there. How they keep getting athletes every year? And I'm thinking, like, dude's really out here thinking that we just got all these great athletes now. I've done something. Because, you know what I'm saying? They weren't saying this 7 years ago.
No.
You know what I'm saying? They weren't. They were like, man, y'all got this. And it wasn't like, all right, guys flying all over the place, dunking the ball. I mean, I know we're going to get into the best teams later on, but like you said, that team, we had with Isaiah and Tay and all that, we throwing lobs all over the place. Like, sometimes I go back and look at those highlights, and I'm like, dog, this is crazy. But then it just reminds me of, like, those old teams back when we were younger, like, watching, like, that 95 team and some of the stuff they was doing. And everybody was like, oh, they great. But then, like you said, Mac and over at Golf, you had big-time athletes over there.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
You had big-time athletes over here, Division I guys. Like, Mac is such a good athlete. He was like, I ain't going to hoop. I'm going to go play football.
Well, sir, here's the thing, too. I'm going back to my time. Garfield beat us. We came up here and ran through Annandale 30-8, and they had a guy that went to UCLA, a running back that was a dog. They also had some other guys. That was a great team. Garfield beat us in the state championship, first ever state championship.
What year was that, Dwight?
1990. I was a freshman.
Yeah, I remember.
They beat us 13-12. That Hampton High team, we were loaded. I was a backup. I was a freshman on varsity. And fast forward to when I saw you play, Sherm, twice in the States, one in the state championship. Y'all got beat by Ronald Curry and Muffin and all those guys, Bobby Blizzard. Came back and beat an even better Hampton High team in the Norfolk Scope. So when I talk about,
and that was like a home game for them.
Yeah, I'm in the state. I'm home from Virginia Tech.
Right.
But it's not about the game. It's about the fact that sometimes I've said this, and I have no problem saying this on my platform, any platform. I think the bias comes from people not evolving and stepping out of their neighborhood. Like the 757, I remember when Oscar Smith lost to Westfield in football 3 straight years in a row in the state championship. And my boys in Norfolk were like, yo, where's Westfield at? I'm like, hey, listen, y'all got to go past Military Highway for Same thing in Fairfax. Fairfax guys, because of that huge count in their region, a lot of times don't leave. They won't play a Maury. They won't scrimmage a green run in football or basketball. I've said this to a lot of people. Y'all will be better off if you stop playing Chantilly and Centerville all the time and scrimmage a team where the kid might have gold fronts. He's not going to hurt you. He's going to make your team better. Y'all got to stop playing.
Like you need that.
You stay insulated.
You need that. You talk like, listen, Aaron, we talk about it. We drove our asses up there in traffic to Coolidge High School on a weeknight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember these kids' faces when we were coming through the city. And I've been to Coolidge a bunch of times for AAU stuff back in the day, so I already knew what it looked like. But like their eyes, they need to go different places to get those type of challenges, man. It's like, contrary to popular belief, not popular belief, but some belief of some idiot, we play anybody.
For 100%.
You know what I'm saying? We play, and one thing you can say about me and about Patriot, we play anybody. You know what I'm saying? And it don't matter. Like, they called me about playing against St. John's in that warm-up joint. He said, I got a spot for you. He said, it was against St. John's. I said, so? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And they whooped our ass. Yeah. Because that's what you're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? But we got that coolest bump. We played, you know what I'm saying, what's called, what's they now, Aaron? They're not Wilson anymore.
Oh, Jackson Reed.
Jackson Reed. We played Jackson Reed. They came down that year with Tay and Isaiah and they embarrassed us on our floor in a scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, so, and we played when Nate was a junior, we played Highland in an event down in Richmond. You know what I'm saying? When he was really blowing up like that. So you have to do that and find different places to play because you don't know the type of teams you're going to see later. And can you imagine if we didn't play anybody like that? Dwight, you can think about this. If we didn't play anybody like that and Oscar Smith walked into our gym in the state tournament, man, listen, they wouldn't have been ready for that. Mm-hmm. But the reason why we were ready for Lansdowne, Oscar Smith, was because we played Hampton that year. We played, who else we played? We played racket teams that season. I can't tell you.
LC Bird.
We played Western Branch. That was a year like you said, that was all that. So you got to do that to get them different type of looks. Because like you said, it's not going to be, and it doesn't have to be like the thugged out type joint, not using that stupid ass word, but it don't have to be black kids from the inner city. It could, like, you got to go play teams like Madison.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're not going, like, until you see it in person, you don't know how to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing that helped us going into the playoffs, we scrimmaged Largo, who I coached Cam last year. Cam is he's now the all-time leading scorer in Maryland State history. He's now at Michigan.
Animal.
We scrimmaged them in the preseason, right? We traveled to Largo. I coached with his dad, obviously, and we traveled to Largo. And one of our kids who were supposed to play varsity, he had some academic issues. He was on JV. He called me before the night before. He said, "Coach, can I ride with y'all? Because I want to see Cam Ward." And I got so mad because I said, "Why aren't you asking me? Can you suit up and play versus Cam Ward?" And I think we played them in the scrimmage. You know how scrimmages set up quarters. The first quarter was a tie. Second quarter was a tie, and then Cam exploded, and I guess he got like, all right, this is enough, and he went crazy. But I say that to say, by the time we got to play Forest Park, I think they realized, like, Cam is the best player we are going to see. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about anybody else we're going to play.
Right.
He's the best, and I think That's just my philosophy. Anybody, anytime. I'm
Listen,
talking.
man, you bring up Cam Ward. We saw him too that 1 year.
Yeah. I say that all the time. You gotta be willing to get your head kicked in. Credit Turkey at Coolidge. He used to skip, and we used to fight about this. We used to start 0-5 every year, and you can look it up. It would be St. Francis. What's the school? I can't think of the school name, but St. Francis. We play in the Gonzaga Classic, and we would be 0-5 every year, and I would be frustrated. But when we got to DC playoffs and DC states, we would be clicking on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be willing to get your teeth kicked in to build some toughness and build some adversity. And going forward, it's like your kids start to develop that edge. Like we lost to St. Francis by 40 the first year. We played in the next season. That game went into overtime.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just what it. And we're a public school. St. Francis is a national powerhouse.
Right.
And so we went into overtime with them. I think we lost by 2 after losing by 40. So you gotta be willing to take that step.
You gotta do it, man.
Play these games, man.
You gotta do it. Like no doubt. Every year we open like that. We playing like we played Verina this past season. They're always top in their division. Riverside's on the top ones in Division 5. We played Landon with Byron Mouton. They came down here. We played them. We traveled to South Carolina. We played 3 private schools down there, and that's just last season. You know what I'm saying? Before that, we're like, all right, Hayfield, one of the top teams in the state, let's play. South Lakes, we're going to play. You know, home or away, we're going to go back and forth with it, see who got it. You know, we're going down to play Lansdowne this year because we need that. You know, because I watched our team play against a team from down there, a team that hadn't played a 7-5-17. That was a mistake I made that last season. And they saw how different it is. You know what I'm saying? They saw the DC, Maryland, and Virginia stuff because we did Capital Hoops. The 7-5-7 is a different animal.
Yeah,
you know
right.
What I'm saying? So,
well, look, speaking of that, man, you mentioned teams. I want to have some fun. And anybody can go first. Actually, I'm gonna start with you, Coach Aaron, because you had a team before I hit record on this that you already knew. I'm asking this just for entertainment purposes. Not to slight any of your teams in the past or upcoming teams, because this question and answer, more so the answer, can change over time. But when I watch 30 for 30s or I watch documentaries, I love documentaries and 30 for 30s, even stuff that has nothing to do with sports, just the story, the journey. I'm into the media. I've always been like that. And I was talking to my son, who is now, he's been into sports. He watches college basketball and college football. And obviously, my cousin Mike, y'all know that, Mike Vick, he took Virginia Tech right after I graduated. Thanks, Mom, for putting me in school early. But he took Virginia Tech to the national championship in 1999 and lost to a great Florida State team with Peter Ward. And there's been other teams like that where I'll tell my son, I'm like, hey, listen, this team right here is one of the best teams that, to ever do it but not win it, like UNLV when they were undefeated and lost to Duke, or this past year's Duke team. I'm not saying they're legendary, but there's been a lot of teams in high school, college, and pro sports that didn't win it. And you're like, how? And you go back, and the older you get, the more you're like, there's no way they should have lost, right? So I'm going to have some fun. I don't want to bring up old memories, painful losses, but, and Coach Aaron, I'll start with you. What is your best team to not have won it? And for the clarification of the criteria, it could be a regional championship, it could be a state, it could be a team that maybe underachieved, that should have won everything. Which is your best team that didn't win it? And not the underachieved, but just didn't win it all?
It's easy. Coolidge Colts. The year before I went to Oregon, we had Stephon Walker, who is 6'8", can do it all. And you watch him work out, it's a pro workout. He's an
animal.
Now he was second in the country in rebounding. Now he's at Old Dominion. We had another kid named Chris. Now this is public school. And the thing we hung our hat on is we had all DC kids. We didn't have no ringers, anything. We had all DC kids. We had another 6'8" kid named Chris. We had Kyle Gaskins, who just scored 1,000 points in a season and a half, I think. Chase Cook, who had transferred.
Didn't we play y'all that year?
No, we didn't play y'all. I don't think we played y'all that year.
No, they didn't.
Well, they had some of them same kids.
Yeah, some of the same kids. We had Chase Cook. who went to was it Liberty or no Richard Moore's one of the he went D1. We had a kid who lived with me 6'6" Malachi. He's playing football and for a public school team 6'8", 6'8", 6'6", all DC kids. I mean, top to bottom, we were loaded. Credit to Coach T, who coached with me at Durant, obviously, and Jackson Reed won this year. They had June. I mean, they had a monster squad too. I watched the game once a month. We played them at their house. The game was standing room only. Guys were calling us, offering $100 to get them in. I mean, it was that type of atmosphere. And they beat us at their house. Then we met again in the city championship. To show you how good that team was, we lost to Wilson in the city championship. Then we went on the States and beat St. John's and States. We only had 6 players. We had some guys drop off for academic issues, guys drop off for injuries. We went and beat St. John's with 6 players at their place. And then we went on to play Gonzaga up at Georgetown. But that team, I think about that team all the time because for a public school, we that's the team that we played St. Francis, and we really had them. We played the 3 quarters without Steph, and that game went into overtime. Steph got injured in that game, and so that team was just one of the best for a public school. We had a great opportunity. Shout out to Wilson, though they got it done. But that's the team that always stands out to me, man. And I watch those games at least once a month. I'll go back and watch some of those games because the atmosphere. Every night we played, it was just everybody showed up in the city. We had some guys that could really fill it up. All MAC guys, all district guys, and so that's the team that jumps out.
Coach Aaron, will you ever be over that?
No.
Okay. I appreciate your honesty.
I went to Oregon, and I will be watching that game in Oregon because it, like I said, we really had a great opportunity to and Durkee deserves the win so bad, man. He takes a lot of criticism and a lot of punishment for not having won the city title, but I think because of how he is in terms of he's really about the kids. He doesn't put winning above the kids. I think he sacrificed a lot in terms of winning to do right by the kids, and so I wanted to win that for him more than anything, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's if you can, man, send me in our group chat a link to the some of that game. I love stuff like that. I know it's painful, but I think sometimes, especially with the modern day with social media, it's amazing how you can have an amazing roster and a great team and not win that one game, and that be the memory and legacy, which is somewhat unfair because the older I get, the more I realize very few people can talk about winning. And secondly, very few people go on to play at the next level, which is college. Mm-hmm. And so it's amazing, but we're competitors and we get in that position. You want to win. It's crazy. I love this question.
Well,
go ahead.
My bad. What makes it so even worse, and our tenure at Coolidge, we've never beaten Wilson.
Oh,
we've never beaten Jack. Again, you got to credit to before T it was Hernandez, who's now at Bethel, but they did a great job. I mean, they got the ultimate advantage. They're on Wisconsin Avenue. The rest of the schools in the city are quote unquote in the hood. So they got the ultimate green light to recruit up there. But they do a great job. I've coached with both of them. They do a great job. So, but yeah, that's what really makes that game tough because we had never beaten them in our tenure.
Hold on, Coach Aaron. I'm gonna ask you a controversial question.
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason? I don't need you to blame a player. I don't think you would do that anyway. What was the reason that team didn't get it done in your mind? Was it the mindset? Was it something? I remember when Jerry Tarkanian said when Duke beat UNLV and upset them with Christian Laettner, he said they were in practice and they were so overconfident and they were goofing off. He said he had a bad feeling going into that game because they were so good.
Yeah.
But again, Larry Johnson here on that podcast with Steven Jackson, he should have taken that last shot and not the other kid. But again, what is your any particular reason why it didn't happen, or you just it just wasn't on?
Yeah, we played them at their house. I think we were up we were up 8 in the fourth quarter at their place, standing room only. I just think their culture. They had a guy named Darren Buchanan who's now at Rutgers.
Well, that's when they had him.
Yeah, he was at Virginia Tech, and now Yeah, he went to GW. Now he's at Rutgers. I just think what he represented as a player in terms of his leadership and all those things. Not that we didn't have great leadership, but I just think their culture was established more than ours at the time, and they deserved to win. I mean, and then when we played them in the championship, I blame that on us. I think we thought that we could kind of do some of the same things, and they changed up some things, and we weren't as prepared as we probably should have been as a staff that game. And it was an ugly game for both teams, but they just had the better culture at the time. We were still young as a staff, young being together, and they just kind of at the end they're always going to win. So they have that Potomac lore over them. You just expect them to win in the end type of thing, and we had to learn to overcome that.
Yeah, no doubt. No, thank you for sharing that. Coach Mack, which team is it for you?
So I may have two.
That's fine.
But the first team I would like to say was probably the 2023 and 2024 season when we lost Ethan to injury, coming off of winning our first district championship, and also making the state tournament run. Getting Ethan back, getting most of the kids back, and then the transfer that left coming back. Yeah. And also getting another kid coming to us, transferring in. And we felt we had a very good group going in. We had a great summer at Capital Hoops. Ethan had a great summer, very competitive, made the playoffs in Capital Hoops, and just really played well. And then had a good fall. We're excited getting ready to the season. I think that fall, in the fall we played South County. We played South County in the fall. Probably that was a great atmosphere game. Everyone was packed. They were decent too. And we had the pieces to be able to win it. And we didn't even get to the district championship game. Losing Ethan just when trials was about to start. Kids have to play different positions. With DK having to play point for us, and he's not a point guard. Also, losing the backup, decent backup to Brandon because of issues of administration. So that's probably the toughest season right there. And then I wish if we had Ethan that year, I think we would have had a good chance of really making another state tournament run again. But we didn't have him. But that was it. But that's one. And a close second would have to be, I would say, going into the COVID year. The COVID year, which was bad for everybody. And we came off a season where we played Potomac in the district championship, lost them a very close game, won our first regional game that year. Had a lot of my kids coming back, all my guards, juniors. I think I had about 8 seniors that year that were going to be
Coach Matt, was that was the year? I'm just trying to make sure I know this right. Was that the year Potomac went to states?
Yes, Potomac went to states that year.
Yeah, they beat Patriot in the regional final.
Yeah, they beat Patriot in the regional final.
Y'all beat them that year?
No, we didn't beat them. Not that year. Not that year. The previous year, we played them in a district championship game, and we should have won that very close game. You have a lot of kids coming back.
I remember that.
Yeah. But then going into COVID, a lot of my seniors just didn't try out because of everything that was going on for that COVID season. We just those kids, and that's the thing. We talk about culture with the kids I had that year. We were just a hardworking group of seniors that they really was in the gym all the time, working and getting better during that COVID summer. They couldn't go in the gym, couldn't do anything. We just started tryouts and just play basketball. So it really set them back. And even I think one of the best kids out there group really didn't try out for basketball that year. And it was just doing personal reasons because of COVID and all that stuff. He just didn't want to try out. But I think that team, that senior group and that team, and we still talk to those kids today. Actually, one of those kids sent one of my assistants a picture. He got a job at Fort Belvoir. A great kid, graduated from Emory and Henry. Got a job at Fort Belvoir working. So, great group of kids. But I really wanted to see if they had a full season, what they would have done or how good would it have. And that's when Forest Park was just coming up that time. We were just coming up. Being competitive with everybody in our district, played for a district championship game, won a regional game. So wish we'd have had a chance to see what that group of seniors would have done that year.
Man, oh man. Yeah. Well, yeah. So who do you have, Sherman? Which 1, 2 teams? What teams?
You know what? There's 3 choices for me. The second year that I was here, I would have loved to see what would happen with that team if our best player Ike didn't get hurt in the first few minutes of the regional game against Madison. We were a 1 seed. We had the best player in the area with Ike. He dominated the last month of the season, more so than I think I've seen any kid that we've had, to be honest with you. And he was already off a football season where he scored 35 touchdowns. So clearly his wheels were about to fall off. We just had to get him through the finish line. And he fell funny in the first few minutes on the and one and just wasn't right for the rest of the game. And that one was rough. But I mean, it's between those 23 and 24 teams. And I know you're probably thinking, oh man, the 24 one. And I say this all the time, and I've said this to Aaron, I'm sure. When you don't have a point guard, it makes things difficult, but I also have a different level of expectation. And that's why, like, the 23 one was rough. I'll say everybody can talk about the 26-1 team. That was such a magical season that nobody expected. I'm not going to take that away from that. I would wish we wouldn't have lost to that team that we lost to. But it sucks. I think we had a chance to win it that year too. But 23, we were really good. And that team that came off of that loss, we had everybody back. We were by far the best defensive team we ever had. And I really wish we could have got it done to the end. That one we just kind of lost. The 24 one was disappointing because it just looked like the Monstars took our powers. That one was unfortunate.
The 24 team, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I got to say this.
No, I knew you were going to say that. That's why you waited to ask me last, because I know that's
No. I wouldn't say the 24 team. I think it's the 24 team. The 24 team, Isaiah and Tay and everybody except Makai Diller played their worst game of their careers.
Correct.
It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Isaiah shot 80% from the free throw line. He missed 8 free throws in that game.
Yeah.
He had given in the previous matchup early in the year in December when South Lakes was undefeated, he gave them 17, 7, and 7. He almost had a triple-double.
Sure did.
He forced Mike to change his lineup and take Aiden out of the lineup and have Jordan guard him, and they helped off. They doubled him.
Now, but don't say help. They doubled. They doubled, and they got super physical with him. Yeah. And this is why not having a point guard in that game was a problem. Because somebody had to be able to create for everybody else against pressure, physicality. And Nasir Coleman did that probably better than anybody outside of maybe Ike. Trey Nelson did a little bit different, but it's like I just knew that guys couldn't trap Nas. They couldn't. It wasn't going to happen. They couldn't get up under him because that didn't bother him. You know what I'm saying? So not having that and just, it was Tay's first time being down there. So he had those nerves. He needed the other guys to calm him down to play their games and just everything. And I didn't do a good job of coaching that team because it was so much. We were so hell-bent on getting back there because we knew we had a chance to win it the previous 2 years, which is crazy to say out loud. I sound ungrateful. You know what I'm saying? I do because like we had teams literally 3 years in a row that were 1 and 2 in the state and had a chance to win the last game of the season. That's a testament to that group, obviously. But it just was. We were after we lost in 23. I was like, I remember in that press conference, we're going to be back here next year. And everybody probably, all right, Sherman, you always talking shit. But I knew it, and that was even before Tay had transferred to us. I just knew that the roster we had was going to be that. And we got back there, and instead of calming them down and realize, hey, listen, you got here. Just let it be. I kind of kept the foot on the gas pedal and probably grinded their nerves and didn't help them relax in that situation. So every year is a learning experience, but I think 23 was the rough one.
Yeah, and I'll just add 23 was my choice.
Yeah.
And Mac, your choice was my choice with your team. Ironically, both 23s. The reason why I said 23 for Patriots because that game against Hayfield to start the season on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
With a huge crowd. I mean, everybody was there.
Aaron watched it on the network out Oregon.
And it had a Final Four field because they didn't have the buzzer. So you had Isaiah and Greg Jones. You had Nasir and DJ with so many household names.
And it wasn't even a good game.
And no, it wasn't, but it wasn't. It had a good finish. It was weird because
I'm talking about the last one, not the first one.
No, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. But Nasir and Desmond fouled out. Not to take anything away from Hayfield. My point being is, everybody in the hallway in the bathroom was like, "Okay, yeah, they're gonna meet up again," which they did. And it was such a letdown at VCU. The crowd was great. It was an 8 o'clock tip. Everything was there, and I talked to the
and like you said, the first game was in the 70s. It was at the buzzer.
It was at the buzzer.
Like, man, it's going to be a good game, and it was
I remember
52-41 final.
I waited a couple of days to call Sherman, and when I called him, he was like, "You could have called me." He said that game was ass.
It wasn't even mad. We got some early foul trouble with Jay and Isaiah, so that didn't help us. We couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. Every shot was short, so and any sort of continuity we could have got going inside was to the two guys that got in foul trouble.
To your point, Hatfield and I had a long talk after the game. He called the game. He said that was the weirdest championship game compared to the first matchup because none of the stars played well. Greg Jones and DJ, Isaiah
DJ was like 1 for 10.
Yeah. So it was that one guy that transferred from Westpo, right?
He had 14, and then the Awoke, both of those two kids.
Mm-hmm.
So not to transition a little bit, but
no, you're good. You're good.
The name Greg Jones, and I coached him at New World with Coach Quad. We won the 17U on Adidas that year, and I use him as an example all the time.
On your tweet, I saw it. Keep going. I saw it.
Talk about being recruited. And I said, if you can show me a high school kid with a better high school resume than him, and who, I mean, don't get me wrong, American is doing great things, but it's not like American was a basketball powerhouse.
No.
Or a kid like him who is all Met, state player of the year, every year, and won titles, and he got to wait to get recruited to go to American, and there's guys who has done nowhere near that. Feel they deserve to get these D1 offers. I use him all the time as an example to look at you gotta run your race and you gotta realize what's out here. A kid like that, how good do you have to be to go to the Georgetowns and the Marylands? Again, no disrespect to American because they're doing great things, but I'm just saying.
You're being honest.
Yeah, you were talking about low major compared to high major.
Yeah, and a kid with a resume his resume is unbelievable.
It really is.
On a high school level.
And he's 6'6".
Yeah, and he is a great shooter. Great shooter. And he's a first class kid with a first class family. And you know what's funny, Coach Aaron? Yeah, Coach Aaron, I saw that tweet. I retweeted it, or they call it reposted now. Yeah. Now I remember because my son is a year or two behind him, and I kept that even though I already had that mindset. And I was like, Greg Jones really showed everybody the blueprint, along with Tay Barber. Because Greg Jones and Tay Barber and a few other kids and Prince William could have left and gone. Tay Barber was first team All-Met. He was player of the year 2 years in a row in the Cedar Run district. And the truth of the matter is he was very loyal and wanted to be a team player. And he played for DC Premier 2 years and had a plethora of offers. Some backed out, some did, the landscape of that. We're going to get into that next time we have our panel. Because we're about to wrap up. We need to get into that part, college, because there's a lot of misconceptions. But thank you for shouting out Greg Jones with that.
And I'll tell you, they came in our practices at New World to get Greg. He was so fiercely loyal to Los and Hayfield. They tried so hard, the private schools, to get him, and he wouldn't hear it. That was the difficulty in getting him to play for New World. He didn't want to leave his. He was playing with like a local AU team.
No. I got one. It's a tier 2 AAU. I got one. I got
AAU team. And he didn't want to leave his teammates to go on to greater pastures. And shout out to Los. You know, Los and I went to Virginia State together. Los actually gave me my first ever coaching job, coaching his summer league team. He kind of ushered in like, nah, listen, this guy right here you can trust. That's the only reason that we really got Greg. He was that loyal to his community. You get what I'm saying? So I always champion Greg like that.
Again, we could go into the 40 because I got so much I want to talk to you about.
I mean, you're right, because we start getting back and we're going to start talking about
because, you know, Coach Aaron, I'm glad you said that because basically, and then we got to wrap up. I got to do my sign off. So many kids don't realize, walk your path, walk your journey. If you're good, it's going to work out. I met Greg, at least through basketball. I talked to him when they played Harvard. I talked to him and his mom, and he was finally healthy, had a great year last year. They went to the tournament, and it was great to see him stay connected. So he walked his own path, so I'm happy for him. And look, Lo said it on the last coaching panel. He could have left because there were a lot of schools that wanted him after that turn. Yeah, it's funny how that works out. But anyway, again, I'm happy for him. Thank you guys for jumping on, man. We will do this again here soon. Hopefully we can get Los and Mills or the coach from Osborne on because I want to get him on too. We're going to do this throughout the season. But I appreciate you guys. I speak on behalf of a lot of players and parents that you have coached and interacted with. And I say thank you. I run my mouth a lot. I'm hoping one day the VHSL or schools, Prince William, will kind of increase your salaries. You guys do so much that you don't get paid for.
Don't get Sherman started.
No, that's why I'm doing my something.
I'm gonna wait till the next one till I start talking my shit. I'm gonna chill. Like I said, I got a lot of things I could have said today, but I ain't saying nothing.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to think I ain't saying what people saying out there. I see you.
White and I mean this from the heart. Like I appreciate the competition in the county that I've been fortunate enough to compete against thus far, and I'm looking forward to this season. I think it's going to be a really competitive season. I think we have a lot of great things going on. I've seen Coach my guys in the summer league. I watched them on the VHSL network. So
you know he's watching you with my man Coach Ryan. Sherman had a school drive all the way to DC. OP's coaches.
Bro, let's go to DC Live, Mac. Let's go to DC Live.
Oh, no, that's new right there.
To show you how true I am, we got Sherman on the schedule this year.
Oh, word?
Yeah. That's first time in a while.
That's been a while because you only met in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay. So to me,
good.
I'm all about as close as we are. We ain't gonna talk that week probably till it's over. And you know they're the big dogs, and we gotta get to that point. So I want to play them. We play Landon. We play games. We play them all. Woo! And so as long as they schedule me, I'm gonna play you. So
that's how it should be.
You know what I mean? So I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the warm welcome I've gotten from almost everybody in the county. You know, it means a lot to be new to the county as a coach, and so it's been some good bump, and I'm looking forward to us continue to build it, and hopefully we get a shot clock.
Yes, we have other topics, but with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Fellas, I appreciate y'all. Coaches, thank y'all for everything you do. To everybody that's part of the Victory Life movement, man, continue to subscribe to this channel to see great interviews and spotlights like this one and others coming up. And like I say every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do and where you go, make sure you have a positive impact. You leave a great legacy. I'm Dwight, Vick, owner and founder of Victory Life. Coaches, thank you. Followers, everyone, we appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, brother.